Surprise them there, and not surprisingly, it's Jakob Peel who's making the effort to get to the wheel there of Magnus Backstedt. Now, once Peel gets onto the wheel of Backstedt, watch out for the counter-attack from Stuart O'Grady. I noticed O'Grady didn't make the initial effort to get to the wheel of the big Swedish rider, so I would think at this point there's the counter-attack, and in fact the counter-attack has come from the French national champion Voeckler.
I do not believe that. Hats off to Thomas Voeckler, who's looked absolutely blown to the world these past 10 kilometres. It's the old story again. The maillot jaune is fever, and it's going to mean that Voeckler is going to jump on everybody if he can.
Well, that was a way to go. That was a move to make. Once they'd made the effort to drag themselves up to the wheel of Magnus Backstedt, the handbook of tactics tells you immediately go for the counter-attack, which is what Thomas Voeckler did. That's the best form of defence.
Now these little bit of moves here might stretch there that 14.25 gap they've got currently, just a little bit more. Big effort by Maggie there at 10 kilometres to go. That was the softener. Now let's see who goes next.
That indicates to me that Magnus Backstedt is not feeling that confident for the sprint, which is why he thought he would try and go for the lone victory. He's very worried about the presence of Stuart O'Grady. I'm not sure if you noticed how quick O'Grady was onto all of those moves. Still got a lot of suppleness in his pedaling style there, his pedaling action, and that comes from his history from riding very well on the track.
Well, what it's done now is put everybody on the guard, waiting for the next man to make a move. O'Grady just edging up there. Everybody's got very twitchy all of a sudden. Sandy Cazar, now O'Grady sensing also that they're slowing down too much here, and they're far too far out to worry about who's going to win just yet.
No, it's not that much of a worry. The man who needs to worry is the French national champion, because if they mess around like this at 10 kilometres to go, they could lose 5 or 6 minutes of their advantage before the finishing line, and Thomas Voeckler, I would think, would like a nice big buffer between himself and the yellow jersey of Lance Armstrong for the next 4 or 5 days going down towards the Pyrenees. The pedaling style there of Stuart O'Grady is nice and supple. He's got the ability to accelerate onto the wheel of anybody who tries to launch a surprise attack.
Well, the weather ever threatening on today's stage of the Tour de France, and these 5 boys are beginning to go clear. We'll take a break. Here goes the one that will be making this one count. This is Jakob Peel here now. We said he had to go. He needs a gap because he won't be confident, I thought, against Backstedt and O'Grady. So he needs to be alone, or perhaps with Sandy Cazar, because they're not really the big sprinters here. And that's the first effort that's come to naught. They've been a bit sharp there.
Well, Voeckler really is showing the mettle of a true champion there. He's chased down so far both of the big serious attacks. The one coming from the first man at the back here, Magnus Backstedt, to go, and then he chased down very hard to get onto the wheel of Jakob Peel. But these kind of attacks so far from the finish indicate a lot of these riders are not confident in their ability to take it out in the sprint. And they are all, I would say, very scared about the presence of the man in the blue shorts there, Stewie O'Grady. Look at O'Grady now. He doesn't want any gaps to appear.
And look who's made the move too, the champion of France, riding like a true champion today. Maybe it was just the face telling us something that wasn't so. He looked very tired, and yet he is getting very excited. Now he better start realising he's going to have to do a lot of racing over the next few days in the yellow jersey of the Tour de France, and he could have a lead of 10 or 11 minutes. So with a lead like that, he should be more or less assured of holding the jersey down to the Pyrenees. But of course, the Tour is a very unpredictable bike race, as most riders will testify. So we're inside 5 miles or 8 kilometres to go to the finish. Everybody is now wanting this stage victory. And after all, when you've been together since the 12th kilometre, any one of these 5 fully deserves it, but only one's going to get it.
O'Grady's obviously starting to feel confident. He's got a very good turn of his pedals there. He looks nice and relaxed. Voeckler going to the front. He knows now that forget about the cat and mouse tactics. Try and conserve as much of his advantage as possible up to the finishing line. When you mess around like this, it takes a lot of the impetus out of the average speed that you've got. And from riding along at 45 kilometres an hour, their average could seriously drop down to about 35. And they could see the huge part of that advantage wiped away over the next few kilometres.
Well, our hosts at French television are keeping their cameras on the leaders right now because they're poised for the attack that could make the difference, and they don't want to miss it. But judging by the clock, the gap is not decreasing, which indicates that the peloton also are no longer racing very hard, because remember, they are into a blockhead wind, and that's deterring anybody from attacking, except the leading group, of course, who might still pull away from that big peloton.
Sandy Cassar has not done very much so far. He's conserving all of his energy, making sure that at least he's got something left to one side when this race comes down to the sprint at the end. You can see the French national champion now starting to think, well, forget about the stage victory. I really have to try and conserve as much advantage as possible. So he's trying to encourage the other riders in this group to keep working until they get down to the final kilometre of the race before they do the cat and mouse tactics once again. O'Grady, a long, hard turn there as he goes up to the front. He looks quite comfortable. He's actually had quite a good season this year with 3 victories under his belt, but I think more importantly, he got 2 very good victories in the Dauphiné Libéré. Now the French champion goes again.
Well, that is amazing, and now they look at each other. Magnus Backstedt decides to go after him from the back. That'll cause a reaction from Sandy Cassar. Then follows Jakob Peel, and then last of all, O'Grady. That's the class of O'Grady. He was making all of them make the move this time.
Cat and mouse now. This is the poker game. The cards are being dealt on the table, and if you don't play your hand right now, you lose a chance of winning a stage of the Tour de France. O'Grady just sitting there. He knows the canniest bike rider in the group is number 66 there. Yeah. That was Jakob Peel. He knows the other guys are going to try and attack, but he, in the back of his mind, is hoping that they come down to the final kilometre altogether.
Yes, surprisingly, Jakob Peel hasn't won a race this year, but he has been in the thick of the action. He got 3 wins last year.
Again, Thomas Voeckler launching an attack. Now look at this. Jakob Peel is making the move. Jakob Peel makes the move behind him. This man is obviously, everybody in the group is tired, but look at that. Straight across the cap is Peel, right on his wheels, straggling across there is Stuart O'Grady, former Aussie champion.
Well, how many more times can Voeckler do this now? He drops into 3rd wheel this time. O'Grady, you can tell a track cyclist, looking in every direction. He's like he's riding on a velodrome now, watching where the moves are coming from and try to head them off. He once was voted the world's finest track cyclist of the year, and now he's in 2nd place. He is so motivated. He will be a very, very difficult man to beat today.
Well, he won a stage of the Tour de France in Grenoble a couple of years ago with a fantastic sprint from a small group of riders. You can feel the alertness. You see how he swings across there. He doesn't want to be in 2nd position. He actually wants to ride in 3rd or 4th place so he can keep an eye on just who's going to launch the accelerations, because I think he's got a lot of energy in those legs of his. Backstedt now just in 4th place. If it comes to a big drag strip finish, Maggie Backstedt has always got a big chance of winning, but I think the difficult thing for Backstedt today is going to be that slight incline at around about 600 metres ago. Again, Voeckler's going, and they're letting him go. They should not let this happen.
Well, I think that I don't know where he's getting the strength from to do one attack after another. Now it's left to Maggie Backstedt to try and close the gap. The others are able to follow, but if we could see their faces, they would be gritting their teeth right now. Hauling back this young man of 25 years in his first Tour de France. His enthusiasm is pushing him towards the line.
Peel is going now. He's seen the possibility. The moment they made contact with the French national champion, he looked for the junction, and as soon as that happened, he went over the top. O'Grady was very clever. He knew where the attack was going to come from, and he knew where the serious attack was going to come from. The man on the front in the black shorts is no stranger to winning big bike races. He won Paris Tours, a World Cup race. Now the other 3 are put on the defensive.
Actually, I should correct the fact that this is Voeckler's 2nd Tour de France. I should look at my notes more often, but he finished 119th in his first tour last year and made no impression on us whatsoever. I don't think we mentioned him once. What a difference a year makes for him. And now this is a serious split, and Maggie is having to breathe deeply here. He'll be thankful that Sandy Cassar has picked up the pace.
Maggie's nailed, I think, right now. He's had a long day at the front end of the bike race. Race radio cackling. There's another crash in the main field behind, but the action is going on here. It's
another crash. It's massive. A massive pile-up again. Eric Decker is standing down there in the centre, wheeling his bike through the traffic. And there's how it happened, right in the middle of the peloton, and they have piled in.
This has been the day of the crash. We've had a lot of crashes on the dry races so far as we come across the front end of the northern part of France. But it sounds as if Christophe Moreau might be one of the riders who's caught up in the middle there. I didn't think any of the US Postal Service riders were involved because they were all on the front end of the pack.
Well, Morrow was certainly down there for Crédit Agricole.
O'Grady's gone.
As we look back to the front now, O'Grady has said, I've had enough of all these attacks, and he's trying to do it himself. Well, the headwind is reducing this to a non-sprint, possibly, because it'll be the strong men after such a long way in the lead who can survive. And this is a huge effort now by Stuart O'Grady.
Just see the sign there. You just caught a sign, a hand signal there from Jakob Peel to Thomas Vuckler. Come on, let's work together. We need to work together to pull O'Grady back. O'Grady looked to me to have the smoothest pedaling action of everybody in this group, and he waited to see what the reaction was going to be. He went straight over the top, and he's got himself a serious advantage now.
Well, Stuart O'Grady, who without doubt his finest year in the Tour de France was in 1998 when he won in Grenoble. It was also the year he wore the yellow jersey for 3 days, only the second Australian to wear that. He became only the third Aussie to win a stage, and he became the first Aussie to wear the green jersey. That was 1998 for Stuart. Now he is back. In the last 4 days, he personally has fallen 3 times. Now this is big pressure, and he's got the elastic at full stretch.
Let me just tell you one thing, he is a very tough bike rider, but so is this young man behind, Thomas Vuckler, the champion of France. He's trying to pull himself back into this bike race, but if he's not careful and he drags back Jakob Peel, he'll get caught out by the counter-attack. O'Grady seems to be controlling this, looking over his shoulders every now and again, and in fact, Thomas Vuckler is closing the gap down to the Aussie.
Can't believe this, because O'Grady is a superb rider against the watch. He got the silver medal in Kuala Lumpur in the Commonwealth Games time trial when he should have won it. He was 2.5 minutes in the lead and he crashed, remounted and took the silver. Well, are they going to haul him back? It's up to Peel now. Vuckler says, I'm not going to close the gap alone. Jakob Peel knows now he's got to be committed, but the fact he didn't want to go round Vuckler means that I think Jakob Peel also now is on the end of his tether.
O'Grady, looking back, seems to be controlling his effort. Another counter move coming by the French national champion. This guy is having a fabulous ride here. They're inside. They are actually going to catch O'Grady because O'Grady has stopped pedaling. He's waiting for them to come back. He's actually decided to conserve a bit of energy and hope that he's still got the acceleration left for the sprint.
That's right, and the other two, there they are. Kazar just behind Magnus Bagstead. I don't think they'll be able to get back on. It looks like it's a 3-horse race now up to the line. Good decision by O'Grady, I think, because we're about to turn into very exposed roads out by the airport here. And if he'd have got caught any nearer the finish, he would have had no sprint left.
Vuckler's gone.
But Vuckler's gone again, and he's gone on a treacherous corner. He's taken some risks to get round that corner. Now, Peel will not want to counter-attack because I don't think there's much left in the tank of Jakob Peel.
Well, it certainly is a risky move, but you know what? O'Grady now has been put onto the defensive, and the man who's in the best position is Jakob Peel, a very canny bike rider. He's forcing the Australian to close down the gap. You've got to go now, otherwise you throw any chance of victory away.
Well, having convinced the world he was going to finish 5th of 5, it may be time for us to retire, Paul, because this man looks so good now, Vuckler. He has attacked and attacked and attacked, and he's had to wait because O'Grady still waits. If it comes to the sprint, I still can't see them beating O'Grady, but how much energy has he used now?
They're slowing down. This is the track maneuver. Vuckler's getting nervous, accelerating over to the right-hand side of the road. O'Grady's happy. He's very canny, track rider, keeping an idea on how the race is developing. They're all starting to look back now. O'Grady's in an ideal position. He's going to force Jakob Peel to lead out the sprint. 1,000 meters to go. It's a long way. The two others are just about to make contact. Sandy Kassar comes back.
Now, if I was one of those, I'd have gone straight for it and I wouldn't have wasted time. But there he goes again. And Peel again grits his teeth. All 5 men at 900 meters are back. Maggie just hasn't got it. He's going to be 5th.
Maggie's on the rivet here this afternoon, but it's now 4 riders. Vuckler very nervous. He's used a lot of energy to attack here. Jakob Peel in 2nd position, trying to get some breath into his body for the final explosion up to the line. Sandy Kassar has been very clever. If he's got anything left in those legs now, he needs to launch the counter-attack. O'Grady looking over his shoulder, waiting to see if Maggie Bagstead is going to come back. Very nervous. They're losing big time now. O'Grady moves up into 1st place. If he opens the sprint, Maggie's going for it. He's got not much left in his body, but it's one last little attempt.
O'Grady takes a look at Maggie. He wanted somebody in front. He needed a wheel. He's got the biggest man in the race to hide behind now. This could be a perfect finish. Stuart O'Grady is the pure man. It's a track finish, this. He's the ace rider on the track. He's won medals there at every colour, Commonwealth and World Championships. Now goes Sandy Kassar. Is he going to upset it? Now comes O'Grady on the inside. O'Grady grits his teeth, takes on Kassar. Nobody will beat O'Grady in a finish like this. The Australian remembers 1998, takes it on the line. Peel is 2nd, Kassar is 3rd. The maillot jaune of the Tour de France, Vuckler is 4th, and Bagstead finishes 5th. O'Grady, after 3 crashes in 4 days, said yesterday, can't go on. It hasn't. He's won a stage.
Fabulous finish that. That was such a tactical finish over the last 4 or 5 kilometres. Look at the face here on O'Grady. He really wants this.
Well, that was a magnificent sprinting session over 3 kilometres. What a wonderful finish to the Tour de France today. We'll take a break. Rejoin us. Remember, the bunch is still to come.